Because what's happened in the last little while, over the last 2 years, the destruction that they've done in 2 years, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And even now you have a president going to Ukraine, and you have people in Ohio that are in desperate need of help. And I was very proud to say that I announced I was going to Ohio. You know, FEMA said we're not going to give them anything. The Biden administration said we're not going to give them anything. And then I announced I'm going. Please sit down. Yeah, go ahead, sit. We'll be here for a while. What do we have to do? What do we have to do? But they weren't going to get anything from FEMA. They weren't going to get anything from anybody. And then I announced I'm going. And FEMA said, oh, we'll give you whatever you want. Everybody's throwing it at them now. And you know what? I'm happy about that. That's good. We're going to go on Wednesday. But as soon as we announced we were going, the money started rolling in. But it's not supposed to be that way, is it? So the 2024 election is our one chance to save our country. And we need a leader who is ready to do that on day one. I wonder who that may be. We need a fighter, and we need somebody that's going to be able to stand up to the radical left maniacs, the media, who are just as bad as anybody, not all of them, but like 85%, 90% maybe. The media is really bad. And you know, the ones that aren't so bad, they end up going bad because they're afraid to be out there by themselves. They're gutless. The swamp, the rhinos, the deep state, the globalists, and actually the communists, you know, I used to say we'll never be a socialist country. And I was right, because the train never stopped at the socialist, you know, that station never stopped. It just went right by. So maybe we hit the Marxist station and the communist station, but they never stopped at socialism, did they, Monica? Never stopped, you know? It's like, so I was right. I was indirectly right. I wish I weren't right. I wish at least they stopped for a little while and then we'll settle that problem. But they've gone long beyond that, what they're going. With all of the weaponization, all of the things they do. We're like a third world nation. There's only one president who has ever taken the entire corrupt establishment in Washington on, and I think you know who that is. And when you see what's happening, it's so sad for our country. In recent weeks, I've been laying out a cutting-edge agenda for 2024, and we're going to go over that agenda. But we're also going to take some questions. You want to do that? We'll have a little fun. You know, the last time I was here, you are so great, you two people, you three people, right from the beginning, right? Stand up, you're leaders, okay? Just stand up. Everybody's already been introduced, but great job. Great job. Club 47 sounds good, too. There's a rumor about that. You know, they have a rumor. Oh, that looks beautiful. What a handsome man. Who is that? Now, there was a rumor about that. I said, that's cool. I didn't know if I was supposed to know about it or not, but I heard inklings. I said, that's like when people have a party and they say, it's a surprise for my husband. He knows about it. But I really heard about that, and I think it's great. And it means a lot because, you know, we did a great job at 45. All of you helped. The whole country helped. And we did things that nobody thought were possible with the economy, no inflation, a strong wall, built 500 miles of wall. We were building another 200, could have been done in 3 more weeks. And the Biden people, that's when I first realized they actually don't want to have people stop from coming in. They don't want to stop people from coming in. It's not even possible. You know, coming in, I used to be pretty wild for the time, but not really compared to what the real number is. But they're dumping out their prisoners from all over the world, not just the 4 nations that we talk about with Mexico and Guatemala, El Salvador. We're always mentioning the 4, Guatemala, you know, the 4 nations. Last week we had 121 nations dropping people in our country. We have no idea who the hell they are, what they do, where they come from. We don't know anything about these people. And I think at the end of this year, it'll be 15 million people will be let into this country during this very short period of time. We don't know anything about them. And, you know, I got to know the various dictators, presidents, and prime ministers. And they're very smart, cunning people. and they're emptying out their mental institutions into the United States. Now, you know, how smart is that, though? That's bigger than any amount of money we can give them, and we give them plenty. But it's bigger than any amount of money we can give them. And they're emptying their prisons into our country. And so we're getting some very rough people coming in. And thank God for our great police, who I met a lot of back there. The police have been incredible. But I thought that we'll go over a little bit of speech, and then we'll take some question and answers. Okay? You think Biden would do that? I don't think so. I don't think he does that. He doesn't. I love when they ask questions. You have to understand how evil much of the press is, screaming the hatred. I said, how much hatred can you have? We had the greatest economy in the world. We rebuilt our military. We had the biggest tax cuts ever given in this country, bigger than the Reagan tax cut, the biggest regulation cuts. And these people, they're crazy. But I'll never forget it. And then I see them asking Biden questions. He looks down. Is Jill here from NBC? Yes. I'd like your question, please. She asked him a question. Then he goes like this, and he reads the answer from a thing. That's not the way it never happened to me that way, Monica, did it? They're screaming. These maniacs are screaming left and right, left and right. We did great. We had the strongest economy we've ever had. Then COVID came in, a gift from China. China virus, right? If you want to, I don't know where the word COVID comes from. China, it's called the China virus. But it came in, and then we rebuilt it again. And the things we did were incredible, including the therapeutics, the Regeneron, so many other things. What we did was an incredible job, and we built it up where the stock market was actually higher in my last day of office than it was just prior to the virus coming in. So it was an amazing period of time. We had a lot of energy. We had $1.87 gasoline, $1.87. You know, we did a job, and you would think that the media would appreciate it. They don't. Although now they're appreciating me more and more because their ratings at the CNN is dying. MSDNC is dying. They're dying. I always predicted they'll endorse me sometime prior to the election. Might have been the only thing I've been wrong about, actually. But now they wish they had to do that over again. No, they're all dying. Even Fox is way down. You know, Fox is way down. Because they're not on board with us. They're not on board with us. But they're better. But they're not on board with us. It's just like 2016. Fox was against me. Everybody was against me. And we like it better that way, don't we? Somehow we like it just fine. But in recent weeks, I've been laying out this incredible agenda for 2024. It's a common sense agenda, conservative, I guess you could say, but I think common sense is almost a better term. We want to have free and fair elections. We want to have voter ID. We want to have all of the things that, we don't want to have elections that last for 62 days. We don't call it election day anymore. We call it an election period. The election period will take place starting in June. It'll end sometime around December. It's crazy. And we will secure those ballots and those boxes that come in, and they'll be in a storage room. Oh, really? I don't think so. No, it's so sad when you look at what's happened with our elections, again, like a third world country. And I said something the other day that I thought was interesting. I don't know if anyone else thought it was, but I said, every day under this Biden administration, it's like April Fool's Day. I say we should have strong borders. They say we don't want any borders. We want millions of people to come in. That's April Fool's, right? That's April Fool's. Who the hell wants that? We want people to come in. He says, nobody. You're right. We want people to come in, but we want them to come in. You know, I had a friend the other day. Is there any way you could help me? What? I'm trying to come into the country. I've been doing it for 9 years. And this guy's actually smart, maybe not as smart as I thought. He said, I've been doing it for 9 years. I've been trying to come into the country. Is there a way? I said, what are you doing? Well, I've taken tests, and I'm studying, and they're sending me applications. I said, look, here's what you do. Take your private jet down to the southern border, just walk across, and congratulations. Terrible thing. But I said, congratulations, you have just come into this. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to legalize everybody eventually. You know, if they're in, including the criminals that come in, which are plenty. Remember, I used the word rape. In my opening speech, I didn't have a speechwriter, so I had to wing it. Those are my better speeches, though. But I had to wing it. And I mentioned the word rape. Remember, it was so terrible. I mentioned the word rape. And I got great marks on the speech. And then about 2 days later, they called. They said, did he say rape? I said, yeah, I said rape. And all of a sudden, it was like a firestorm. Little did they realize that a vast number of women that come up through the caravans are raped on the way up. And so many other bad things are happening. But the numbers, I'm not going to say it because they'll say he was off by 1 point, but numbers that you wouldn't even believe. And it's true, I did say that word, but I said that word as a much smaller problem. Nobody knew how big the problem was, but these people are coming into our country. These people are coming into our country now, and we're going to have a long-term problem, and whoever the president will be, and hopefully it's us. It's us. We've got to get them out, and we got to start with the bad ones because we have some real bad ones in here. So we're going to be doing that. But what I want to just say, we'll go over some points, but after that, we're going to take questions. So think up questions. You know, when I don't want to do too many questions, I mention that last because people don't have enough time. I'll lead by saying, does anybody have a question? They're all thinking so quick. Now they've got a half an hour or so to think about, so we're going to have a lot of questions, but we'll stick around and we'll take some questions, and hopefully we'll give you very satisfactory answers. But in recognition of your club's new name, which I love and I'm honored by, let me tell you some of what we will be doing as the 47th President of the United States. Okay? Let's start by saying that under no circumstances will we allow anyone to cut Medicare or Social Security for our nation's seniors. We're not going to allow that. They paid in, and you can't allow it, and you shouldn't allow it. You paid in, you paid your dues, and they can't do that. They can't do that. There are plenty, don't worry about it. There's plenty of areas for cut. I'm a big cutter. We were doing so well in every way, and then when COVID came in, it was a whole new ball game. When that virus came in, that China virus, that gift from China, it was a whole new ball game. We had to put money out to keep this thing going. We did it. We did it well. People are really, the fair people are saying we did one hell of a job, but we kept it going. We kept the economy going, and we ended up strong. And then they've destroyed this economy. When you look at what's happened, they want all electric cars. You know, electric's okay. I don't know anybody that really likes them too much, right? I know I have a friend, he's tired of driving for an hour and a half and having to get a recharge, you know? But they buy them for the environment, but all the materials that make the batteries come out of China. You know that, right? Yeah, Chinatown, where he kept his records, Chinatown. Didn't he keep his documents? How about that one? Can you imagine if I had documents in Chinatown? That'd be the end. I wouldn't be here tonight, would I, huh? He has his records in Chinatown? They haven't explained that one yet. On day one, we'll revoke Joe Biden's new executive order establishing Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion czars in every agency of the federal government, and restore the principle of equality under the law. So we're going to do things that were different. You know, we had it all going. I got them all out of the military. And the day I left, they put them back in. These are highly paid people. 400,000, 450,000 to destroy our military, really. Our military should be thinking about one thing, winning wars if we have to, not thinking about which lawyer to hire if a colonel happens to be a little bit rude. Can you imagine some of these old movies, the great old movies, where they're being screamed at? Now they say, don't you dare talk to me that way. I'm going to sue your ass off. Can you believe it? This is where we are now. It's crazy. And just as I signed the world's first ban on critical race theory in September, I will once again get this poisonous ideology out of our government. We're going to get this ideology right out of our government and out of our military and out of our lives because we don't want it. We'll cut federal funding for any school pushing left-wing gender theories or other inappropriate racial, sexual, and political content to our children, right? We want them reading, writing, arithmetic, and, some of the basics. Right now they can't read and they're telling you what they want to be. I'd like to decide to be a girl, Dad. I've decided I want to be. And what's happening with a lot of these people? Nobody wants to talk about it. They turn 20, 21, 22. They say, what the hell did you do to me? Mom, what did you do to me? My gosh, how could this have happened? And we can't let this happen. We can't let it happen. We will direct the Department of Justice and Education to open civil rights investigations into any school district promoting race-based discrimination, because that's what they're doing. It's race-based. We'll protect parents' rights by promoting universal school choice, which is so important, and the direct election of school principals. You'll elect your school principal. How about that one? Because some of these school principals are put in there for political reasons, and they're seriously radical left lunatics, okay? So now the parents will go and they'll choose them through an election process, and it's not very complicated. On my first day in office, I'll revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Gender-affirming, a process that results in the physical mutilation of minor children. It's not even believable. 10, 15 years ago, could you imagine even talking about these subjects? Think of that. Gender-affirming care. It's not going to be a problem. As soon as we get in, it'll all be ended. I'll sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. It's enough. I ended it in the military. I took a lot of heat. But I ended. In the military, you're not allowed to take drugs, but massive amounts of drugs. And people are disturbed in so many different ways. Look, people, they have their ideas, and I'm not going to knock anything. But in the military, you're not allowed to take practically an aspirin. And massive amounts of drugs are taken. They have the operation. You need massive amounts of all forms of drugs. And so just on that basis alone, I ended it. And the military was extremely happy, and a lot of them didn't want to speak up. They were afraid to speak up. Pretty tough people, but they were afraid to speak up. But they told me, thank you, sir, for doing that. That was great. But Biden put it back very shortly after he got in, if you call it getting in. How did you get in? How did that happen? Then I'll ask Congress to pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states, and we will keep men the hell out of women's sports. You think that's okay? Think that's okay? I'm sure you've heard it because you listen to the rallies. We're going to be starting the rallies. Everyone said, when is he going to start the rallies? It was amazing. I wanted to put my cards on the table, so I announced a little early, like 2 years in advance. And then a week went by, and, I didn't do much. It's 2 years. And the fake news media goes, he's not campaigning. I got 2 years. He hasn't done a rally yet. 6 days went by, I hadn't done a rally. And we had an opening at Mar-a-Lago in the ballroom. A lot of you were there, actually, and it was really good. It was really nice. And everybody thought it was great. And about 2-3 days later, there didn't seem to be much energy. They'll even take this crowd. Ron DeSanctimonious had a crowd in Staten Island today. 139 people in Staten Island. We got a lot of people. We have 139 times about 30. We got a lot of people here. But I always say, hit your enemy a little bit early. Some people say don't, but I say do. But, I'll tell you what, we have a lot of great people, a lot of great Republicans. Some are running, some aren't running, some just want a little publicity. But I think we're going to do it. We had polls today come out. We're number one on the Republican scale by a lot, winning by 34 points. And we're up 7 on Biden. 7. I don't know. I don't think 7 is so good. How can you only be up 7? Remember Afghanistan? Destroyed our economy, destroyed energy, destroyed everything. And you're up 7. So I sort of don't like talking about it, to be honest. But don't forget, they start out with a 35 base. You know, people don't realize that. They start out with a base that Republicans don't. They don't start out that way. And they have a lot of union support. But I have a lot of union support, too. We broke into a lot of those unions where the union leadership would endorse. The union leadership would endorse. But the people, they voted for me. And they voted for the Republican Party. What we've done with Hispanics and what we've done with everything. You know, you go down to South Florida and you see the numbers in South Florida and Miami numbers. Nobody's ever seen numbers like that. And this state is so incredible. And I never mention this because I don't like hitting Republicans. I really don't. But I did get 1.2 million more votes than Ron. 1.2 million more votes. Nobody wants to mention. The press refuses to mention it. We'll have to talk to our Club 47 people about this. They don't want to mention good things. No, I got 1.2 million votes more than Ron. And Ron did good in Florida, but I did great. And we won it very easily. In fact, the people in Florida said, sir, you don't even have to come. They love you in Florida. But they love me for a reason. They love me because of the job I did. We did a great job for everybody. So we're leading all of the Republicans by a lot, and we're leading the Democrats. They have Kamala. How's she going to be as a president? Kamala. So we have Kamala, and we're leading her by 11 points. We're leading Biden by 7. And again, I'm not going to talk about it too much because that's embarrassing. But they do have an automatic, which Republicans really don't have. I mean, Republicans, you're sort of on your own. You got to run the entire East Coast. I happen to think we do much better in California, New York, and Illinois but in theory, they say you automatically lose California, Illinois, and New York. That's bad. So you have to run the entire East Coast. Remember that evening in 2016? And remember this, look, it was a great evening, but we did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016. That's the thing that bugs me. They rigged it and they stole it. No, we did much better. And I tell all these people, the governor of South Carolina is just a fantastic guy. We got tremendous support the other day. Practically everybody came out and endorsed us. But I say to everybody who's endorsing us, so many, I mean, a lot. Not everybody. I'll remember. But a lot. We're getting tremendous endorsements. And you know what I tell them? I don't want any campaign help. I don't want anything. I'll get the campaign. I'll do it. I only want you to help during that very short period of time when people are casting ballots, that they don't cheat, that they don't put 1 million votes into machines and other things, that they're not cheating. Because if we can stop the cheating, there's no way we lose. And I don't want any help during the thing. I don't care. The only time I want help is during that period that I talked about, not that day. Wouldn't it be lovely if we had 1 day voting, all paper ballots? Wouldn't that be lovely? Voter ID. It would be so terrific, but it's not. So we have to take over first, and then we can get that. I really want to get that. And I think that any Republican governor should be demanding it right now. I think anybody that's a Republican governor, that includes Florida, by the way, anybody that's a Republican governor that has control over the state. Some Republican governors don't have enough control to do that, but most of them do. They should be demanding 1 day voting, all paper ballots, voter ID. You know, the Democrats, I don't know if you know, when they had their Democrat National Convention, I call it the Democrat, they like to say Democratic National. I like to call it Democrat. You know why? It doesn't sound as good. They said he's trying to change the name. No, it's actually the Democrat Party, but they changed it to the Democratic, but it's the Democrat until they officially change it. But you know what? with their convention, when they had it, they had signs, like the biggest signs I've ever seen on the front. They had a chain around their neck, and they walk up, and it had their picture, and everything that you could possibly know about a human being to get into that convention center. And I said, isn't that incredible? They have that for their convention, but to vote, they don't want anything. They don't want any identification. Anybody can come in and vote. And the reason they don't want voter ID is because they cheat. That's the only reason. And they're good at two things, cheating and disinformation. That's the two things they're good at. So anyway, we're sort of putting an end to a lot of it. But the time I want you to be working harder than any time is just during that election period when the votes are cast, so that fake votes aren't put in like happened last time. Now, last time, in all fairness, was unique. They used COVID to cheat. Everybody's saying, I don't want to go vote, blah, blah, blah. And they used COVID to cheat. They won the election by using COVID. And they could do things that, in theory, you're not allowed to do. Many of them had the states, the legislature by law has to pass everything. They didn't do that. They didn't do it at all in most cases. And you report on it all the time, Monica. Stand up, Monica. She's so nice to me. So nice. No, so good. Such a great spokesperson. And you are a spokesperson, but she doesn't work for me, but she's a spokesperson. And Gina, you're so fantastic. Stand up, Gina. And I think Michael Barnett's here. Where's Michael? Where is Michael? He is here. He is here. You did a great job. And I wouldn't say our opponent was in favor, but I was in favor, and everybody in this room was in favor of Michael. Congratulations, man. You're going to be great. So all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age, it's going to be all terminated. I'll take in Congress and ask them to pass a law, because we got a lot of laws passed in Congress. We did a thing called Right to Try. Right to try. Hopefully there's nobody here that wants it. We have a lot of young people in this room. They don't know what right to try means, and they're not going to have to worry about it. But people that were very sick, terminally ill in many cases, they wanted to get cutting edge drugs, and they couldn't get them. They couldn't get them. For 52 years, they've been trying to get something passed with right to try. It sounds simple, but it's not. The insurance companies didn't want it. The doctors didn't want it. The drug companies didn't want it, because if somebody was terminally ill and they were using the drug, if they didn't get better, they'd have to put it down on a stat list and it would make them look bad. So they fought like hell. And I got everybody into a room. I said, look, it's time now. 52 years you guys have been fighting. I'm going to get people that need it to sign something. And we're not going to hold the country liable. We're not going to hold the drug companies liable. And we're not going to hold the doctors liable. They're all afraid of it. And we're not going to hold the insurance companies liable. And they'll sign that, and they're not going to go to Asia, because many people went to Asia, they went to Europe, they went to other places, faraway places, to try and get something. We have the greatest doctors in the world, we have the greatest labs in the world, and they weren't able to use products that we almost, in many cases, know work, but they won't be approved by the FDA. By the way, I cut down the approval time to about 30% of what it was. It used to be 12 years. I got it down to 5, and I think, frankly, it'll go down a little bit further. But it's a process. You got to have it. You got to have it, and we did a good job with it. But we got a thing called Right to Try. So now you have so many people that are living. Thousands and thousands of people are getting drugs. They're going to sign a document, and they get treated. And you have no idea. Actually, a side benefit is we're finding out that certain medicines are incredible. Because likewise, if they do heal the person, if the person is healed, you say, hey, this stuff is really good, okay? It's not just the negative, it's the positive. But we're saving thousands and thousands of lives. I got it passed through the Senate, got it passed through the House, and I signed it, and I was very proud of it. We saved thousands and thousands of lives, and there are probably people in here that have used it. Hopefully you don't need it. Hopefully you don't need it. But that's the way it is, and we'll stop the invasion on our southern border. We are being invaded. This is no different. In many ways, it's worse. It's no different than a military invasion, because at least a military invasion, you know how to fight. These people are coming in, they're loaded up with drugs, or they're loaded up with murder raps, or they're human traffickers of women, mostly of women. You know, human trafficking is mostly of women. We had that down to the lowest number in the last 4 decades, and now it's 5 times higher than it ever was. We had drugs down because we had the strong border. Remember, I had a thing called Remain in Mexico. A great name. And Mexico didn't want that, just in case. You know, it wasn't like, oh, gee, should I tell the story about that? Yeah? I mean, it's more interesting than these speeches, right? We'll cover both territories. But no, I said, listen, we're being invaded. We're not going to allow it. So Mexico's going to have to stop them, because caravans are coming through Mexico of 10, 15, 20,000 people. There are a lot of real bad people in those caravans, real bad. They usually stay right in the middle where people aren't looking so much. But these are MS-13s and really bad people. I said, they got to remain in Mexico. They said, you can't do that, sir. And a woman from the State Department, very good woman, but she laughed when she heard it. She said, we've been trying to get that for 20 years. You can't get that, sir. Yes, I can, 100%. They said, no, you won't be able to, sir. We've tried to get it. And I had various other things that I wanted that would be, you know, credible. So there was a list of 10. I went to the Border Patrol. You have unbelievable people in the border control, unbelievable, including their leader, who's a great friend of mine, and also Tom Homan, who I see all the time. Yeah. Now you have great people there. You have people, I mean, they actually fight to protect our country. They're not allowed to do their job. It would be a lot easier for them. But you have, like, incredible people. So I said, no, give me the top 10 to Border Patrol, to Homan, to all the different people. I said, give me your top 10 things you want, I'll get them all. They said, you're not going to get them all. You're not going to get any of them. I said, give me a shot. So they wrote down 10 things, and I gave it to this person, the head of Mexico for the State Department, a woman, really nice woman, but she just didn't think we had a chance. She said, sir, I've been doing this for 20 to 25 years, and you won't get any of these things. I said, I'll get them all. So the head person from Mexico comes in. And by the way, I really like the president. He's a socialist, but that's okay, you know. He's a great guy. He's a great guy, actually, but he is a socialist. There's no question about it. But that's a lot better than what we have, isn't it? We have a lot worse than socialists. No, but he is a great guy, and he loves this country. But I said to his representative who came into the room, we had 20 people, I said, listen, we want you to give us 28,000 soldiers to protect our border. He looks at me, sir, are you kidding? I said, no, and it's going to be free of charge. So he looked at me. This is the head of Mexico, second guy. He said, sir, we won't do that. I said, yes, you will, you will. You're going to do it. Then he said, I said, and I want all these people that are coming up, thousands, millions, it's millions of people a month. I want them to remain in Mexico. He said, this guy's crazy. You know, I could just see him. He's probably, this guy's crazy. Sir, we can't do that. No, we're not. No, you do that. Then I gave him 4 other things, almost that were worse. Some of them were just brutal. And I said, here's the story. If you don't approve all of this stuff, I have before me an executive order. I'm going to charge you 25% tax on any car or any product coming in from Mexico into the United States. And the order was done. I showed it to him. He read it quickly. It was only 4 pages, you know, very simple order. I said, and that'll be effective. This was on a Thursday afternoon. I said, that'll be effective Monday morning at 8 o'clock. And it will be billions and billions of dollars. I said, this is far better. I almost hope you don't approve it because we'll make much more money for the country with this. And they went out And he said, sir, I'd like to make a call back to Mexico. I said, I cannot imagine who you're calling. Hello, Mr. President. And within 5 minutes, he came back into the room. He said, sir, we agree to your demand. I said, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the woman almost fell off her chair. And normally I'd say she's a bad woman, she's an incompetent woman. She wasn't, she was smart, but they don't do things the right way. I'll give you another example, Putin. Putin never, ever would have gone into Ukraine if I were president, never. And I told him, I mean, I actually had a very good relationship. By the way, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. You know, these idiots back there would say, he's very close to Putin. Remember when they hit me with the question, who do you trust? Your intelligence people in the United States, they're not intelligent, your intelligence people, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Lisa Page, how about Lisa? Or Putin? And I said, you know, that could be the toughest question I've ever been asked as a politician. They want to be, and then when I really didn't give them a very good answer in terms of exactness, because I didn't want to, because I didn't trust these people. They're bad people. These are bad people. And when I didn't give, all hell broke loose. But that's okay, you know, that's okay. And it turned out I was right. I was right about that too. These people, what they have done to our country with a fake Russia scam. And, you know, it's just incredible. But Putin never, ever would have gone into Ukraine. And when I was out, I looked and I see soldiers forming at the border, and I said, oh, he's negotiating. It's just negotiation. And it really was. And then Biden got involved, and he started saying, well, if they took small portions of the country, perhaps that's okay. Remember that statement? I said, that's not a good thing to say. That's not a good thing, great businessman right over here, Bill. That's not a good thing to say, is it? And all of a sudden, Putin started saying, well, this is going to be all right. And because of that, so many other things happened. But I believe that happened also because of Afghanistan. The single most embarrassing day in the history of our country. Afghanistan. There's never been anything like it. Remember, we left behind $85 billion worth of equipment. We left behind American citizens. Soldiers, 13 died, but nobody ever mentions the fact that many were hurt so badly. No arms, no legs, their faces blown to pieces. Incredible people, and they're suffering for the rest of their lives. They'll suffer like nobody in this room can even imagine. Nobody ever mentions them. They talk about the 13 dead, but they don't talk about how badly so many of the soldiers and other people were wounded that day. We took our military out first. A child would know not to do that. You know, we had, believe it or not, a very strong relationship with the Taliban. People would say, he's speaking to the Taliban, me. I said, who else am I going to speak to? That's the enemy, that's the one. And I said, I want to speak to the leader of the Taliban. His name is Abdul, still there, he's the leader. And they said, sir, you don't want to speak to the leader of the Taliban, do you really? I said, well, who else? It's like Jesse James. They say, how come you rob banks? He said, because that's where the money is, right? That's a good one, right? Why do you rob banks? Why is it? Yeah, well, that's where the money is. Did anybody ever hear that one? My sister did. Elizabeth, will you stand up, please? My sister. She's the greatest. She's the greatest. She heard about it. And Jim, nice to have you, Jim. Great to have you both here. That's great. We do love my sister. She's a great person. She's a great person. So I said to, I got him on the phone. I said, Abdul, they were killing a lot of our soldiers. Snipers were killing them. Snipers from a long distance, very good shots. And they could kill them from 2,000 yards. I mean, they could kill them from many football fields away. And they were killing our soldiers, but especially under Obama. Less so, much less so under me. But they're still killing them. And I said, if any more of our soldiers are killed, I'm going to hit you harder than anybody's ever been hit in the history of this country. Harder. harder than anybody's ever been hit. And he said, Your Excellency, why do you say that? I said, because you're killing our soldiers, and if any more are killed, you're going to be hit really hard. He said, Your Excellency, may I ask you a question? Yes. But why? He said it twice, sort of an interesting usage of words. But why do you send me a picture of my house? I did send him a beautiful picture, nice little house. I said, you're going to have to ask your wives that question, plural. No, but we had a very good relationship in a sense. We didn't lose one soldier in 18 months until that disaster of the evacuation, the surrender, whatever you want to call it. We didn't lose one soldier. And we have a lot of stories like that to tell. And then can you imagine this guy? He was so afraid of our F-16s. He'd say these planes are brutal. And they're good fighters, by the way, but they never fight at night. Now they can fight at night because they took all our goggles. We have brand new goggles, the latest, the greatest. They're still in the same package. And you know who the second largest seller of arms in the world is right now? Is Afghanistan. They're selling the equipment that we left them. And I said to one of the generals, a television general, Millie, I said, let me ask you. Well, this is when I started to realize he was no good. I said, General, let me ask you, I want every nail, because we were taking them out. I got it down to 2,500 people, because, 21 years was enough. And we weren't, the whole thing was ridiculous. And they were going to go back to their customs anyway, which is what they've done. By the way, they're treating women horribly. The whole thing, everything happened. Just a terrible thing. 21 years. I said, General, I want every nail. I want every bolt. I want every plane. I want every tank. I want every single thing. Sir, I think it's cheaper to leave the equipment behind. I said, that's when I started to lose respect. The second time was when I held up a Bible and he thought it was terrible. I said, this is not good. But we have great generals because, like Dan Kane, you heard that, right? Raisin Kane. We wiped out, We wiped out the whole group of people that everybody said you couldn't wipe out. We knocked out people that nobody thought was possible to do. General Raisin Kane. We have great generals. We have a great military. But Millie said to me, Sir, it's cheaper to leave the equipment. So I said, so General, let me ask you a question. We have an airplane that costs $100 million. And we fill it up with a tank of nice jet fuel. And we fly it either home or into Pakistan or some neighboring state that we can deal with. None of them are easy. I said, you think that's cheaper than leaving the plane? Yes, sir, I think it's cheaper. I said, this guy is not too good. This guy. And then I said, no, not only do I want the planes, and they said, well, what about the hangars? Because the hangars are these big canvas things, cost a fortune. This place is amazing what they built, and they just abandoned it. We should have stayed in Bagram. We should have stayed in Bagram. Not because of Afghanistan, because Bagram, as some of you people know, is 1 hour away from where China makes their nuclear weapons. We should have stayed in Bagram. But they left Bagram. And that's where the evacuation should have been also, because we have walls around Bagram, okay? We have walls, we have everything. That was the best, most incredible place. But we should have kept it. And the only people I was leaving behind, I wanted to keep Bagram because of China, not because of Afghanistan. And right now, you know who's occupying Bagram Air Base? China is right now, China is occupying. Can you believe it? It cost us billions and billions of dollars to build years ago. The biggest runways in the world, 8 feet thick of concrete. You know what that is? If construction guys in this room, most of these guys, I know some of the construction guys, they're cheap as hell. You know what? They build a floor this big, 4 inches. Give me a 4-inch slab. These are 8 feet, They don't hold back with the money, but we have the biggest runways, most powerful runways and everything. We left it in one night. The lights were left on. The dogs were left behind, by the way. A lot of people said, what about the dogs? They love dogs. And the dogs were left behind. Then they denied that, but then it turned out, no, they left the dogs behind. You can imagine, because the Taliban is not really in love with dogs. They're not big in the dog population. And we left in disgrace. And because of that, I think Putin saw that disaster and he probably said, this is a great time because we'll never have an opportunity like this. And by the way, just so you understand, you know that Ukraine is being totally devastated, right? If anybody thinks they're coming out good, Ukraine, I looked at pictures recently where cities are just literally wiped out. There's not a building standing. The entire city is wiped out. Then they'll say, 3 people were injured today in a certain city. The whole city is knocked down. They say, no, thousands of people were killed. And many, many more people are being killed in Ukraine than anyone has any idea about. It would have never happened. Now, with that being said, it did happen. I believe I could settle that thing in 24 hours. I think I could. I really do. I really do. And continuing to pour money in is delaying everything. It's delaying a lot of settlement. It's delaying a lot of things. But it's also getting a lot of people killed because every day that goes on, more and more people are getting killed. More and more of some of those incredible buildings with the domes that are 1,000 years old, they're just laying down dead right now. The whole cities are being done. Almost every single power plant in Ukraine has been destroyed because Russia wins wars with the cold. They beat Napoleon with the cold. They beat Hitler with the cold. That's how they win. And that's what they're doing now. They're knocking out all the power plants and people are freezing to death. And it's a very bad thing. I could settle that in one day. As president, you need the power of that office. But you need to have shtickle. You need to have a way of dealing. You can't do that just by standing and saying, oh, we're going to get it. Look, people are dying. The country is being obliterated. Russia's a warring nation. They have many missiles. And if those missiles didn't work, they have other missiles, which we don't even want to talk about. Very powerful missiles, just like we have, and bombs. And that should be settled immediately, and it could be settled immediately. And when I watch these people going over there and talking, they have no idea what they're doing. And every day that goes by, in many ways, is a gift to Putin, because it just gets worse and worse, and more people are, how do they live like that? And many aren't living. The death count is much higher than what people are reporting, much, much higher. And it's a shame to see it because there's a case, today's President's Day, and I put out a truth. I hope everyone's on truth because it's better than Twitter, it's better than anything. I put out a truth. And in the truth, I said it very, very strongly. I said, look, this is a time, I believe our nation's in more danger than it's ever been in because of a word known as nuclear. Nuclear is so devastating that we don't even want to talk about it. And that was a word that was never supposed to be mentioned. You have 2 N-words, neither of which should ever be mentioned. I said that once. I said, oh, what a terrible thing to say. No, you have 2 N-words. You know what the one is, but the other is the nuclear word. Not supposed to ever be mentioned. Ever, ever, ever. It's mentioned every single day now. Every single day they talk about, will this end up in nuclear war? We're on the precipice of a disaster, the likes of which this world has never seen. This will make World War I and World War II like baby stuff. If you saw the power that I saw, and I was in the White House, and I was the one that rebuilt our military, fully rebuilt our military. We had jet fighter planes that were 44 years old. We had bombers where the grandfather flew them, his son flew them, and his son flew them, where the bombers were 60-some-odd years old. No, we rebuilt it, and they gave, $85 billion to the Taliban, but that's just a small fraction of what we did and what we built. We did an incredible job with the military, and the military loves us. But you know what? We have to get that thing settled. You can't just continue to pour. One other thing I have to say while we're on the subject, and you do have a lot of fakers back there, although I think you've really sort of combed it out. You only have pretty good ones, right? And some very good ones. Wow, boy, do they have a story after this deal. I'll get blown up by this one, won't I, Monica? Huh? But all I do is tell the truth, right? Tell the truth. But you got to get that solved. You can't just keep spending billions and hundreds of billions of dollars. So as of today, I hear we're up to $114 billion. No money for Ohio and those people that we're going to see, those great people that we're going to see. No money. Wednesday is right. I hope you're going to be there. You're going to be there? Travel up from Miami Beach. Huh? She's going to travel from Miami Beach. But you know what? If we don't get that solved, bad things are going to happen. You know, they have signs that Trump was right about everything. And I was right about a lot. But Trump, they have a hat. Trump was right about everything. And when you think about it, I was, including Russia, including Ukraine, including a lot of things. But I tell you, I am more right about this than anything. If you don't get that solved, there's going to be a really big mess. And today, I see Biden saying, well, we'll give them as much money as they need forever. We'll go forever. And you know what the other Zelensky is saying? We'll take it. But here's the problem. So Europe combined is the exact same size almost as the U.S. economy, right? So they're in for a tiny fraction of what we're in for. We're in for 114 billion. They're in for like less than 20 billion. Now, maybe those numbers are a little up, but they're not much. Tiny fraction. This is the way it is. When I first got in, I talked about NATO. I said, you know, I went to the first meeting. I looked, what do I know about NATO? But like, I understand what goes on. And I saw the numbers and I said, you know, you have 28 countries, including the U.S. Now you have a couple of more. But you have 28 countries at the time, including the U.S. You people are delinquent. Only 8 were paid up. 20 had a lot to do. Germany was only half paid up. Germany is, you know, tough, smart. They're smart. Why should they pay if the United States is going to pay? Why the hell should we pay if we get these stupid people to pay? And the Secretary General Stoltenberg of NATO said, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen, because he's been there for many years and he could never get the people to pay. And I said, look, you have to pay up. And if you don't pay up, we're going to be very upset with you. And a man stood up, the prime minister of a certain country, I won't reveal it, and the press doesn't like talking about it because it was a very positive thing. They only talk about bad things, or they make them bad, because there weren't that many bad things. But he stood up, he said, does this mean, Mr. President, that if we're not paid up, you will not defend us if we are attacked by Russia? I said, yes, that's what it means. I will not defend you. He couldn't believe that answer. And we had billions and billions of dollars flowing in the next day. The money was pouring in. We didn't know what to do with that money that came in like cats and dogs. So it was an amazing thing. And that's really the money that they have now that they're able to fight with. You know, they were broke. And now they have a lot of money, and that's the way it is. Now, if I would have given the more diplomatic answer like Obama gave, no, we will always be with you regardless of you pay. Well, who the hell's going to pay if you say that, right? And it was a little bit of a story that I was threatening them. No, I wasn't threatening them. They have to pay up. They have to pay their bills. But, you know, what happened with NATO is really emblematic of what we have to do. So they don't pay here, and they kill us on trade. Because Europe is unbelievably bad to us on trade. They won't take our cars. They won't take our farm products. They won't take anything. I always say, and people say, you know, Europe sounds so nice. A lot of us came from Europe indirectly a long time ago through our parents, through our grandparents, a lot of people in this room. And we love Europe, and we love all those countries in Europe. But I always say they're almost as bad as China, and they are. They don't take our product. We have a huge deficit with them. We have about $160 billion deficit. And I asked Angela Merkel, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have right now in Berlin? Why, I don't believe any. I said, you're right, Angela. Guess what? We're going to put tariffs on your damn cars because it's unfair. No, it's true. She was proud to say, I don't believe any. So we have to straighten out our country. We have to use common sense, and we have to get back to governing. We had this thing spinning like a top. We did a job on North Korea. Everyone said, he likes Trump. That's a good thing, because he does have a massive nuclear force, okay? This is a massive nuclear force, and we checked it. people came back after checking it, and they were about 14 shades whiter. They came back into the room. I said, what happens? You just saw a ghost? No, he's gone. And I had a very good relationship with him. Kim Jong-un. Remember that famous news conference? I never saw so many paparazzi in my life, but it was an amazing thing. It was an amazing day for the U.S. And I'm telling you, if Obama were president, you would have ended up in a nuclear war then. And I cut it off. But now he's getting angry because he doesn't like Biden. He doesn't have any relationship, and he's sitting there on top of a lot of stuff, and a lot of bad things could happen there too. A lot of bad things could happen in Taiwan with China. All things that would have never happened with us. We did a great job, and I don't mean me, I mean all of us. And we have, they admit to 75 million. I believe we have 200 million people out there that aren't going to take it much anymore because we're tired of having this country be run by dummies. Dummies that cheat. So I just want to conclude by saying that, and I want to thank my speechwriters very much. The speech was excellent. But I think this is all something really that you have to hear and that we have to talk about. We have the potential to bring our country back to a level greater than it was before. But we're going to have to move now, and we cannot let it go and slip into a hole any deeper because we are really deep. We are in deep, deep trouble, and we have to turn it, and we have to turn it around, and we can do it quickly. We can do it fast. Let them start drilling. We would have been energy dominant, not just energy independent. We would have made so much money, we would have been paying off our debt. We owe $32 trillion. We would have been paying off debt. We would have been producing jobs. Instead, what are we doing? We're at $5, $6, $7 for gasoline in some states. And it's going to get worse. You know, I filled up the reserves, the strategic reserves. I filled it up, and I filled it up good. And remember, 75 million barrels, and I did that when it was very low. I should get at least acknowledgement. When we were low, I said, tell me about, don't forget I hadn't done it too long. I said, tell me about those strategic reserves I'd hear about as a child under the big salt mines, these massive salt. Well, sir, they're close to empty right now, What are they for? They're for war. They're for emergency, and they're in very bad shape. And I remember that, and then I saw that we had an oil price that was so low, like record low in 44 years. And I said, I'm doing a good job. Why don't we fill up our reserves at this low price? And I made a deal, 75 million barrels of oil I bought very inexpensively. And it kept the oil companies alive, because I actually got the oil price down so low, I said, I'm going to have to reverse this sucker. These guys are killing each other. You understand what I mean? It's like the baseball owners. If they didn't have a cap, although they don't have a cap too much, but you know, you almost need a cap. They were so low. We actually had a period of time where you would take a barrel of oil, they would give you the barrel, but it's no good for Wall Street because they don't carry barrels. They only carry, it's only paper. They would take the barrel and give you $36. Do you believe that? Now that was only for a short period of time, but it took place where if you came and took a barrel, we'll pay you to take a barrel. That's how good it was. The problem was every oil company would have been out of business, so I said, no way. And I actually spoke with Putin and with the King of Saudi Arabia, and we got it all worked out. And the oil companies made money, and we produced like we've never produced before. And we had low oil prices, low energy prices, and now those prices are going through the roof. And in order to keep them down, guess what he did? He emptied the strategic reserves so he could keep them down just prior to the election. He emptied the strategic reserves. And now to fill it up, you're going to be paying 4 or 5 times more money. So it's a horrible thing. So I just want to say that it's an honor to be with Club 47. It's an honor. And my friends have been like, I don't know, it's just an incredible feeling. It really is to have friendship like we have with you. Good times, bad times, when it was 45. We don't care, sir. We know you're doing the right thing. We have good times. They've talked about Russia hoax. They talked about the fake impeachment hoaxes. They talked, we don't give a damn, you're doing a great job. And I appreciate that. You know, I really do. You're an amazing group of people. No, thank you very much, and thank everybody involved. Thank everybody. So with that, we'll do something a little different, because I remember last time we did it, and we had a lot of fun. And some people aren't able to do this, and maybe I won't be able to do it too, in which case I got myself a big problem, right? But you know what? No, some people wouldn't do this. They wouldn't say, can you imagine Biden saying, we'll take questions. The first question he'll be stumped on, and then they'll come and they'll take him out of the room, and that'll be the end of that. And then the media won't report it, right? They'll say, oh, he was brilliant. He made a State of the Union speech the other night. That was so bad. Look, and lies. He's taking credit for everything I did. The hearing aids, the kidney, everything. But he made one 2 years ago that was just not good. I'm trying to be nice, you know. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Tremendous stumbling, bumbling, tremendous, bad, everything. It couldn't have been worse. And I said, boy, he's going to get killed. This is a disaster. And I wanted to see what the opponent, because it is an opponent, they're very dishonest people, at MSDNC were saying, MSNBC, DNC. And I also wanted to see what CNN, so I turned on. So I think he's going to get killed. Now, FDR was a great speaker, a beautiful voice, patrician voice, beautiful. We will fight, we will fight, we will fight. The great, beautiful, right? And I thought that they were going to say this was the greatest embarrassment we've ever had. They compared him to FDR. They said this speech was reminiscent of FDR. Wasn't it brilliant? Jake, wasn't it? Oh, yeah, sure, it was brilliant. Keep paying my salary, please. I don't get it. I mean, why? Why do they have to be so dishonest? And people see through it. So let's take some questions. Go ahead. Who's got a question? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I know that you appreciate World War II veterans.
I do.
And we happen to have a gentleman here, right, standing here, that is a World War II veteran, once again, to come listen to you. Thank you, sir, for your service.
Thank you. That's great. You want to use the mic for the questions?
Yes, sir. Captain Randy over here. We got Sergeant Denny over there. I've got a young lady right here.
Okay.
Questions, folks. Questions, please. The quick questions.
Randy, I have one
here. Go real quick. I got one, Denny. I'm holding the mic.
Okay.
We got it. Real quick. No comments. Real quick.
Thank you. President Trump, State Committee Woman Michelle Merrill from Broward County.
Yes.
My question is, you are the only president bothering to go to New Palatine, Ohio this week. What are you going to say to the residents there about the toxic chemical spill? And what would you have done as president if this had happened under your watch? And what would you do at the EPA that's not bothering to help them?
Well, FEMA,
thank you, madam.
FEMA would have been there within an hour. And you know, you have local FEMA. And FEMA was told not to help. And we would have had funds there. We would have had doctors there. We would have known what was happening, and we would have taken care of, and we would have consoled people. They were left hopeless. The government said they're not coming. FEMA said they're not coming. Look, until I announced 2 days ago that I was going, they weren't doing it. Once I announced I'm going, they said, well, we're going to, and we're going to bring a lot of money. That's not the way it's supposed to be handled. So we would have taken care of those people. And they'll be now taken care of, but it'll be a little bit later than it should have been. Okay? Good question.
Sergeant Denny on that side of the room.
Yes, we have one right here.
President Trump, I'd like to say it's a great honor to be in the same room with you, number one.
Thank you. It's my honor.
I'd also like to thank you for your sacrifice to the people of this country.
Thank you.
People,
Very nice.
people don't understand. You had it made in the shade, and you stuck your neck out for us.
That's true.
And
And it's still out there.
I appreciate that. So my question is this. The current administration is consciously leaving the border wide open. What's your theory for why they might be doing that?
It's a very fair. So the border is open. How could anybody do that? Why would they do it? So I say there are two answers. They're either, I don't believe it's voting because they cheat in the elections without having to go through it. Why do they have to do that? They cheat without, they don't need all these people coming in that are going to be robbing your houses in many cases, okay? And worse than that. So there are two questions. They're either stupid or they hate our country. And we know they're not stupid because anybody that can cheat that much on elections cannot be stupid. They're not stupid. They're radical left maniacs. And I believe they actually hate our country. I really do. I believe that. Okay? Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
President Trump, we have a gentleman here.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
President Trump, you have been phenomenal in your support for first responders and law and order. And in the last boat parade before the 2019 election, we put a barge in it with fire trucks and cop cars on the barge. And in the front of that barge, we had a 6-foot by 30-foot banner of you saluting first responders. At the bottom, it said, "Thank you, President Trump, for having our backs."
That's right.
So we would like you to autograph that banner if possible.
I'll do that.
Can we bring it by Mar-a-Lago?
Sure. You bring it by.
Thank you, President Trump.
You bring it by.
Sergeant Denny on your side.
I remember that. Thank you.
Now relax. Relax.
Mr. President, we have a question from a younger in the audience.
Hello, Mr. President.
Hi. I love that shirt. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
He's got a shirt. Trump won.
After you become the 47th president, what are you going to do to stop the war in Ukraine?
So I would literally start calling, not from the day I took over, but from the night I won. And I'd call two people. You know who the two people are? Putin, right? You know who Putin is? And Zelensky. And I'd say, we're going to meet. We're going to meet. And I guarantee I could work that out. I guarantee. I know exactly what I'd say, by the way. I know exactly. I'd tell one guy this, and I'd tell one guy that, and I'd say, you better make a deal. We would have a deal made in 24 hours.
President Trump, on this side, back to this side of the room.
Hello, President
Hi.
Trump. Hi. I am Rebecca Harari, the president of the America First Club here in Florida.
Right, that's right. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. My question to you is, since you've left office, there has been an alarming rise of anti-Semitism all across America. When you come back to office, how will you address this?
Well,
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll get it stopped. As you know, they're after the radical right now. And it's very unfair. They don't do anything with Antifa. And if you look at Antifa and Antifa to the Jewish population, not good. BLM, not good. But they're after radical right people. And in many cases, these are people that love our country like nobody loves our country. And we'll handle that situation. You know, we did something that I think was greatly helpful to Israel, many things. But one of the things was the Abraham Accords. Nobody thought that was possible. And that would have been, that was 4 countries. That would have been completed by now and get a lot of credit for it. But we also did Jerusalem, as you know, the capital. We made Jerusalem the capital. We not only assigned the embassy to be there, but we built the embassy for a slightly lower price. It was supposed to cost $2 billion. I got it done for $500,000. Is that a good? We saved almost $2 billion. And we got it built, and there's no reason to ever replace it. It's really good, and a lot of other things we did, you know. So, but I appreciate that question, and I see that myself. I think it's terrible, but we'll take care of it very quickly. Thank you very much. Good job you're doing too.
Sergeant Denny.
Mr. President, I think we have a campaign question here.
Water.
First of all, I want to tell you that I love you, and the Hispanics love you. With President Trump, I love you.
And I love the Hispanics.
Woo!
I love those
We
Hispanics.
love you. And my question
That's,
is...
by the way, that's the group that we've gone up the most with.
Amen.
They get it. They get it. They're hard working. Are you Hispanic? Good.
And I have a group in Vero Beach, Florida, and we're going to be campaigning for you. We love you very much.
Thank you very much.
My question to you is, we're also praying for you every day.
Thank
My
you.
question to you is, when are you going to announce your vice presidency? The vice president.
Oh,
How about now? I'll do it right now. No. You know, it's a very important position, but nobody votes for the vice president. You know, in all of the years that I've been watching, and it's a pretty well-known statement, and that's not the reason you're doing it. You need somebody with great talent, great experience, you know, in case something happens. We'll be announcing it at an appropriate time. It could be a little bit earlier than normal. It could be maybe not at all, and maybe I won't do that for a while. A lot of people are right now auditioning, you know that. A lot of people that are running at 1%, 2%, 3%, no percent. We have a couple that are joining, they're at no percent. I say, I wonder what they're doing. I think they're auditioning right now for vice president. No, it's a very fair question. At the appropriate time, I'll be doing something. Thank you very much. Very nice. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yeah.
We have a 5-year-old.
Good.
I know that you said grandchildren. We have a young 5-year-old girl named
Beautiful.
Paisley would like to ask you a question. Paisley,
Paisley. Hi,
are you
Paisley.
ready, Paisley?
Yes.
You go ahead.
Well, why is it so expensive now than the old days?
Thank you, Paisley.
That's a very good question. She's basically talking about inflation. It's a lot, it's much more expensive now for mom to go out and buy whatever she's buying. Without exception, by the way, without exception. So it started off with energy, but the energy morphed into everything. And we'll get that down very quickly. You know, when we get energy down, everything else is going to come down too. So we're going to get it down very, very quickly. And it's a very good question. Thank you, darling.
Sergeant Denny.
Yes, we have a question here, Mr. President. Yes.
Oh, Joe, come on.
Hello, Mr. President. Thank
Hi.
you so much for everything you've done for us.
Thank you.
We all love you.
Thank you.
We have a problem with all the three-letter agencies in Washington: the CIA, the FBI. The
So do
NSA.
I.
What is your plan to? I hate to put it this way, but burn them down and start all over again.
Yeah. They've gotten out of control. They have. Weaponization in some forms and other things. They have really gotten out of control. And the only thing that can change that are the people. And we did a lot of work, and we were really getting down to a point that, you know, nobody could believe how well we were doing in that regard. But we're going to have to do something about it. We're going to make changes and big changes, and that change has to start from the top. Some agencies are just stone cold. Now, they've gotten a lot of courage because they've been encouraged by the radical left Democrats. I mean, many of these people are, I don't even know if it's Biden, to be honest with you, but many of these people are just stone cold left, crazy Marxist, communist people. And it's sort of like the border. Who wants to have an open border? Then you say, who wants to have a CIA like this? And I have to say, when I was working with the CIA, we took out more terrorists than any other president. We were knocking them out left and right. And I really had a very good relationship with the CIA. They did a good job, but they certainly seem to be out of control right now. And the other ones too. And we'll make the changes that have to be made. You know, it was very interesting. When I first became president, I didn't really know anybody in Washington. And I was a New York person. I rarely went to Washington. I think they said that I went to Washington 17 times during the course of my life, and I never stayed over. So, you know, I wasn't a Washington establishment person. And I had to rely on some people to give me advice as to who put in. Now, I have to say, you don't read about them, you don't hear about them. So many different people, Bob Lighthizer in trade. We had so many great people. But we also had some people that weren't the greatest that I wouldn't have put in, that are rhinos or, you know, bad rhinos as opposed to good rhinos. Some Republican in name onlys are pretty good people. They're not my kind of people generally. But we had some great people, but we also had people that I would have never chosen. Now that I've done this and done it intensely, I would say probably more intense than anybody's ever been president, right? And by the way, every time our poll numbers go up, and they're going up like a rocket ship, every time, and again, because they're doing so poorly on the other side, and they saw what we did, but every time our poll numbers go up, those agencies that we talked about get meaner, crazier, and they want to use that to try and win political battles, and you just can't do it. But I will say that I know the people of Washington right now better than almost anybody, and I know the great ones who will do the job, who won't be a coward as Attorney General, because we had a couple of Attorney Generals that didn't have courage, let's say. I mean, Bill Barr was going to be impeached. They said they're going to impeach him. I said, impeach him for what? I said, I got impeached twice and my numbers went up, so maybe it's a good... But he said, I don't want to be impeached. I don't want to be impeached. And you know, they lose their character, they lose their strength. We can't have that. We need brave patriots. And I know the people. I now know that establishment. Because nobody has lived in Washington like I've lived in Washington, that's for sure. Okay, let's go.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Yeah.
1982, AT&T was dismantled because it became too big for its britches. AT&T subsidiary DirecTV just banned Newsmax from broadcasting. Yeah. Is it time to dismantle AT&T again because it's getting too big for its britches?
Thank you, sir.
AT&T is a lousy company. It's highly overlevered. It's run by radical left people. Honestly, it's doing so badly. You know, normally you dismantle when they're doing so well. AT&T is doing badly. They got rid of, they took it and DirecTV, which I guess they own, and they got rid of Newsmax, and hopefully they'll put it back. And OAN also. OAN was fantastic and still is fantastic, but it's a struggle for them because they're being deplatformed. They deplatformed me, and now they're all begging for me to come back. You know why? Because they're dying out there without us. That's why truth is so good. That's why truth is so good. But you know what I mean. AT&T is like a lousy company. It's leveraged to the hilt. It's doing very poorly, and yet they get rid of a Newsmax and an OAN, who actually both got very good ratings. And I think there's a lot of pressure being put on. AT&T dropped, you know, their stock since that time. Now, I haven't seen the last couple of days, but a few days ago it was $10 billion. People don't like it. People don't like it. And they do, to a certain extent, vote with their wallets. So hopefully, AT&T, if you're listening, change your ways, AT&T. Okay? Good question. Thank you. Go ahead.
Sergeant Denny.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you, President Trump. So we can sit here, but nothing means anything unless we have a valid election. What will we do to change it now?
Yeah,
Clean up.
I agree. So it's such a great, it's a question I would ask first all the time because we have to get in. So what we're going to do is, number one, they collect and they harvest ballots. In many places it's illegal, but they do it anyway. We're going to have to get a lot of ballots. And I was always for election day voting. But when I watched what happened in Arizona, where the machines were all broken, the machines were broken. A large percentage of those machines were absolutely broken. Kerry Lake had lines so long, and the people couldn't vote because a big percentage of the machines in Republican areas were broken, okay? What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to fight like hell on that day, those few days of the election, and we're going to have to make sure they're not going to steal this election from us. The Republicans were not well represented, and sometimes when they were in Philadelphia and Detroit, they were literally escorted and thrown out of the rooms. We have to fight that there's a minimum, that there should be none, election fraud. It's the biggest problem we have. Once we're in, we can change it to paper ballots, same day voting, voter ID, and be done, okay? You know, France had a big problem. They had a huge problem with the whole thing for years, and they went back to paper ballots and they went to same-day voting. They just had an election, 36 million votes. It was over by 10:30 in the evening, and there were no complaints. And that's what we have to do, okay? But we have to be in office to do it. You can't do it because the Democrats do not want to do it. See, I happen to think that their policies are so bad. Think, what do? They want high taxes. The education, they're destroying our children. They want borders where we're being invaded by millions and millions of people, and many of those people come out of prisons and they come out of mental institutions, and they're bad people. Many, many of them are bad people. When you hear the different, and they want, I mean, think of it. They want to raise your taxes. Everything they have, it's April Fool's, everything they have is bad. I happen to think that if they didn't cheat in elections, they could never win an election. Who's going to win? Who's going to win an election with open borders? Who's going to win an election? We want no voter ID. Remember this, they did a poll among Democrats and it voted 84% that they wanted voter ID. The Democrats, not the leaders, they want 100% no voter ID. So you can't get voter ID because they want to cheat. There's only one reason you don't want voter ID, and that's because you want to cheat. But if we get in office, one of the early things, I have to be honest, I'm going to clean up the border. We're going to get the criminals out of this country. We're going to do a lot of things. But one of the early things we're going to do is same-day voting, paper ballots, voter ID. Now, one thing I have to say, very important, again, and I said it before, and I'll say it again because I don't see any action, although Alabama has actually is doing this and has done it, but I don't see any action on same-day voting, voter ID, and paper ballots by Republican governors. So Republican governors, get your asses out there and get it done, okay? Get it done. All right, we'll take a couple of more. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Donnie in the back, our sound booth.
How you doing, Mr. President?
Hello. Hi, Donnie. Hi.
I just want to thank you, and I want to say that one of your greatest accomplishments is all the people you've brought together in this country. I can guarantee you everybody in this room has made many new friends because of you.
Thank you very much.
And so my question is, since you're fighting for us, what do you want us to do to fight for you?
Just your support, and not even monetary support. I mean, what we need is your absolute undying support. And we have it, and we have other places throughout the country where the spirit, we've never seen spirit like we see it right now. And I think, Donnie, that spirit, that support, and we can't be stopped. And once we're there, we're going to fix this country. You know, the one good thing about having the result that we had, and I've said this a few times, but I mean it more now than ever, is people see how bad it's been for 2 years and now 3 years and 4 years. You know, think of it. You know, we're talking about the primaries beginning in substantially less than 1 year. Think of it. When it was 4 years, now a lot of people had visions that the election would have been corrected, but the judges didn't have courage, and a lot of people didn't have courage, frankly. But we're talking about less than a year before the primary starts. You take a look at the dates in February. It's incredible, less than a year. But what we need is we need that spirit. We have to have the spirit just like it is right now. And I think we will. I've never seen anything like it. And I've gone through two. And I always say, I had somebody from the New York Times come in, the good old New York Times, the fake, failing New York Times. But they came and they said, well, what's the difference between 16 and 20, the elections? And when I said, well, actually, we did much better in 20 than we did in 16. What do you mean by that? I said, we got millions and millions more votes, but something was haywire. And we all know in this room what was haywire. And I was told by the great pollsters like John McLaughlin, Fabrizio, I was told by a lot of them that if you get the same 63 million votes that you got in 16, there's no way you can lose the election. And we got close to 75 million votes, and that's only what they agreed to. That's only what they say. It's much higher than that, but they agreed to it. So we got, based on that, we got 12 million more votes, right? And we lost by a whisker here and a whisker there. And you know, when you look, Pennsylvania, how about Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania was over at 10 o'clock, and then all of a sudden, they had a large drop. Now, these people are really, it's so sad. It's so sad. I mean, they have this unselect committee, you know, the unselect committee of political thugs, and they didn't spend 10 minutes looking at voter fraud. They only looked at people that were complaining about the election. They should have been looking about voter fraud, not the people that were complaining about voter fraud. So anyway, go ahead. Well, you're going to have to keep your eyes open. You're going to have to keep your eyes open, and you're going to have to work like hell around that period of time. And you're going to have to surround those places. And, you know, they have thugs. They had thugs that would escort people out of the room. When you look at poll watchers, they had thugs that would take them right out of the room. And it was horrible. In Philadelphia, Detroit, we have stories, and they're all documented too, but people don't want to listen to them. All right, go ahead.
Mr. President, we have two questions, as you asked, left for you. One, Sergeant Denny, and then coming back to Captain
One here
Randy.
from the Young Republicans of Palm Beach County.
Okay, good.
Hi, Mr. President. My name's Ashton. I'm the president of the Palm Beach County Young Republicans.
Very impressive. Very
Yes.
good. Wow.
Yes, so
Good.
As the club and as young people, what is the strategic campaign messaging to reach millennials and Gen Z?
Well, look, I said I have one little phrase that I think became the most powerful phrase in the history of politics and maybe in any country. You know what the phrase is? Make America great again. Now, we could go into details, and you know what the details, because we've been talking about them the whole night. Make America great again. Another one, America first. We put America first. They're putting America last. We're taking care of other countries. We don't take care of ourselves. But make America great again. Okay? Thank you, darling. Great job.
And we have one last question, sir.
President Trump, thank you for being the best
Thank you.
president of our lifetime.
Oh, thank you very much. Very nice.
Amazing what you've done for this country.
Thank you very much.
I've been working with the Palm Beach County Election Integrity Group, along with Linda and a few others that are here and others that aren't. And what is your opinion on the machines and how they interfere in elections?
I don't like them. I don't like them.
Thank you.
I don't like them at all. You know, I could talk about them for hours. No, I don't like them. But, you know, the news media, including Fox, they're afraid to even talk about it. They don't want to talk about the subject. It's incredible. No, I don't like them at all. Not at all. Well, I want to just end by, again, saying thank you, and we'll do this again. I love these question and answer periods and statement periods. But you are an incredible group of patriots and people, and we're going to do things that have never been seen. You know, 2016 was a very exciting election, and 2020 should have been an even more exciting election. And
weather or conducting other scientific research.
President, why have you chosen Paul? We need President Xi, Mr. President.
These three objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies studying weather or conducting other scientific research.
President, why have you chosen Paul? We need President Xi, Mr. President.
You think they bought any of that bullshit? No, absolutely. These three objects.
We got Biden just caught on a hot mic. We got more fires breaking out in Ohio. Now can you hear me? All right, now you guys can hear me. All right, we're on track, I promise. When we get together. Mic check, mic check. All right, there we are. We in the building. A little bit more mic, a little bit more gain. Mic check, mic check. All right, there we go. Gotta take those off. All right, so we got Biden on a hot mic. We got a lot of stuff going on. What else we got? We got fires breaking out. Another fire in Ohio.
The West Virginia manufacturing plant. This is along U.S. Route 60 just before Kanawha Falls. According to Metro 911, the call came in before 10 this morning. Several crews are on scene trying to put out the fire. We'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more information. Where there are reports of a structure fire at the West Virginia manufacturing plant. This is along U.S. Route 60 just before Kanawha Falls. According to Metro 911, the call came in before 10 this morning. Several crews are on scene trying to put out the fire. We'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more information. Where there are reports of a
This one's in happening now. 4 alarms ripping through the Williamsburg's building, setting lumber ablaze. Sorry guys, my audio is so messed up I can't hear anything that you guys are hearing, so it's really hard for me to do these streams down here in this PC. I need to spend time and fix it. Yeah, we need Trump to take in here. I mean, our entire country's under attack. Anybody that doesn't think that, I don't know what they're thinking, but they're sadly mistaken. This is in Melody, Florida.
Ese es Melio, Hokichoy. Por ahí tenemos fuego. Supuestamente debe ser Warehouse. Área de Melio. Área industrial.
There's another one in Florida. All right, Elvis, I'll get to it right after this. Yeah, that's a good one. So physical attacks on the U.S. power grid rose 71% last year compared with 2021 and will likely increase according to industry analysis. What? And here's the actual explosion. This was in Melody, Florida. What a freaking clown, dude. The guy can't even walk a few feet without being handled by everybody. These attacks are definitely being done by deep state operatives. Yeah, they're called sleepers. And all their sleeper agents are being called to work right now. Biden is now claiming to be Polish because he knew Polish people in Delaware on some rambling nonsense. No way.
Pennsylvania. Connection between Polish and American people is extremely strong and deep. I was kidding with the president. I was, as a young man, I was born in a coal town of Scranton, Pennsylvania, northeastern Pennsylvania, in an Irish Catholic neighborhood. Then when Cole died, we moved down to Delaware, to a town called Claymont, Delaware, which was a working class town. And but everyone in town was either Polish or Italian. I grew up feeling self-conscious. My name didn't end in an S-K-I or an O. But all kidding aside, the connection between, I was telling the president, the pride, the overwhelming, demonstrable pride that the Polish Americans feel about Poland and the role you're playing now. We were talking about it. It's extreme.
Yeah.
It is. You would be, if you haven't seen it, you should come and.
All right, I can hear you guys now. We're back in the game, boys. Oh, yeah. So we saw that one.
All across my country, in big cities and small towns, Ukrainian flags fly from American homes.
No, they don't, Joe. I don't know one person who's flying a Ukraine flag anywhere, you piece of dirt trash. I wish I would have heard that hot mic one. You guys mind if I play that again? Where was that hot mic at? I hope I come across it again. The J6 footage appears to show a man wearing an earpiece, forcing people inside the Capitol building. A woman even calls him out on it. No way. Oh, that's why they didn't want the J6 messages coming out. Yeah, buddy. Mr. K, that was you? All right, yeah, let me hear this.
Objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies. These three objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies studying weather or conducting other scientific research.
President, why have you chosen Paul? We need a President Xi, Mr. President.
You think they're buying that bullshit? No, absolutely. Yeah, this guy's a believer in it. Let's get it.
Oh, man, that's awesome. That is freaking awesome. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. All right, so that was the guy arrested in Canada for fighting for children's rights or something. Oh, sorry, it's got copyright music. I can't play that. This is Melody, Florida. That's George Soros endorsing Ron DeSantis. I'm sure you heard that. He needs another booster.
Acid would increase the level of the oceans by 7 meters. The melting of the Greenland ice sheet affects
It says 2,000-year-old vampire stumbles over his speech for a total world domination.
He's just racist and
Trump or Biden?
Biden.
Biden, why?
Because I don't like Trump.
What are some of the bad things he did?
He's just racist and just like a shitty person overall.
Could you give me like maybe one or two examples of Trump being racist?
I can't really think of shit right now, but I know he's done some racist shit.
Trump or Biden?
Biden.
Florida was doing great long before Ron DeSantis got there. People are fleeing from New York to Florida and other places because of high taxes and out-of-control crime, not because of governor. Thank you, President Trump. The sanctimonious Rick Scott did great. And even Charles Christ, and a very good number of sunshine and oceans. Whoa. There's no audio on this one. I've never seen anything like that. When does a train just tip over? Oh, what was that? Do you see that? What's that right there in the road? Can you guys see that? Is that normal? Is that like a switch? Or did he just run something over that took out a tire and that's what's left of it? How is that possible?
Doesn't need a trans.
Oh, do you see that one? You guys see those headlines? Oh, sorry, I'm super zoomed in. My bad. This one says study Bill Gates lab grown meat causes cancer in humans.
Постоянно извращают исторические факты, не прекращают нападки на нашу культуру, на русскую православную церковь, другие традиционные религиозные организации нашей страны. Посмотрите, что они делают со своими собственными народами. Разрушение семьи, культурной и национальной идентичности, извращение, издевательства над детьми вплоть до педофилии объявляются нормой их жизни. А священнослужителей, священников принуждают благословлять однополые браки. Да Бог с ними, пускай что хотят, то и делают. Что здесь хочется сказать? Взрослые люди имеют право жить, как хотят. Мы к этому так и относились в России, и всегда к этому будем так относиться. Никто в частную жизнь не вторгается, и мы не собираемся этого делать. Но хочется им сказать, ну посмотрите, извините меня, священные писания, главные книги всех других мировых религий. Там все сказано, в том числе то, что семья – это союз мужчины и женщины. Но и эти священные тексты подвергаются сейчас сомнению. Но вот, как стало известно, англиканская церковь, например, планирует, правда, пока только еще, рассмотреть идею гендерно-нейтрального Бога. Что скажешь? Прости, Господи, не ведают, что творят. Миллионы людей на Западе понимают, что их ведут к настоящей духовной катастрофе. Элиты, ну, прямо надо сказать, просто сходят с ума, и это, похоже, уже не лечится. Но это их проблема, как я уже сказал, а мы обязаны защитить наших детей. И мы сделаем это, защитим наших детей от деградации и вырождения.
Man, I would rather listen to Putin speak than Biden. That ain't a joke either. Yeah, you did send me some good ones over there. Corn Pop, I got you. Yeah, check this out, guys. You guys see that shit? No wonder our country's falling apart. Thanks, Pete. Pete Buttigieg. The racist roads, man. It's wild, guys. Track's out of whack. check out the PA train station, Jumper. What you got there? Can you guys send me links on Twitter if you guys want me to pull anything up? And never send me your phone number. I always try to delete them when people send me personal information, but I'm live all the time and I pull up random stuff, so try to keep your personal info out of it. I did that to Matt Wallace one time. This dude was scamming a bunch of people in crypto and he sent me his number. And I went to expose him one day and I opened up his DMs and I didn't realize it. And I put this dude, it was during his wedding too. So a bunch of people that he scammed got his phone number and were blowing up his phone on his wedding day.
For its response, the mayor of East Palestine has said it took nearly 2 weeks for the White House to contact him. There were shouts of "Where's Pete Buttigieg?" at a town hall meeting last week. What's your response to that? When are you going to go to East Palestine?
Well, I am planning to go, and our folks were on the ground from the first hours. I do want to stress that the NTSB needs to be able to do its work independently. But when I go, the focus is going to be on action. Look, I was mayor of my hometown for 8 years. We dealt with a lot of disasters, natural and human.
The administration has come under some fire for its response. The mayor of East Palestine.
Man, that guy needs to resign immediately. Kevin McCarthy turned over the J6 footage to right-wing propagandist Tucker Carlson. A man who spews Kremlin talking points, suggests J6 was a false flag, and spread the big lie. Make no mistake, this isn't about transparency. It's about fueling dangerous conspiracy theories. From the man you trust the most, Kevin Schiff. You guys got any more good ones? You guys saw that snowball, right? Yeah, I saw that one, Jumper. We covered that yesterday. Yeah, I saw the pipe bomb one. Definitely saw that one. Yeah, God bless Ohio, man. They deserve so much better from our government. It's not even funny. A 14-year-old denied kidney transplant because she's not vaxxed. What is wrong with this world, man? Literally, what is wrong with these people? Why cancel culture is good for democracy? Okay.
And went and did a recon last night, kind of a pre-deployment site survey of the area that was hit directly. I'm out of the cloud zone, so I'm working over here, meeting with key leaders, and Food Forest Abundance folks sent me up here, meeting with some folks today on soil reclamation. Also talking to Pat Militek on the other side, and we're going to have some solutions for this thing. Understand this country is under attack. Our food source is under attack. Straight up. Done a lot of research last night, been on a lot of conversations, and this is unconventional warfare stuff. This has gone beyond just fifth generation warfare. This is a straight up attack on our very existence. We need to understand that, and we need to be serious about it, have solutions. No more belly aching, carrying on, pontificating, and wondering. This is legit. That's why we're doing stuff about it. I'll let you know more later. I'm tired.
This is Nebraska. Breaking: Union Pacific freight train carrying coal has derailed in Nebraska. Emergency hazmat teams on site. You know, somebody earlier goes, I don't have Twitter. And if you didn't watch my video yesterday on East Palestine and realize that those people were in their home sitting there as that train was on fire, right? And they told us that it was they told us that they did the controlled burn because it was so dangerous that if that train were to ignite and blow up, it would have devastated the whole town. So they had quite possibly a nuclear bomb sitting on the ground right next to these citizens' houses, and they didn't alert them. They did the controlled burn and they didn't even alert them. It wasn't on any mainstream media, any mainstream TV, any telestation. The sirens weren't going off, nothing. People were sitting on their couch on Twitter and social media, and they saw the videos. No, I didn't, Corn Pop. Will you guys send me all the videos on Twitter if you guys got them in DMs? Yeah. So, and then Antifa actually had stuff on their website on how to take out trains. So, like, this is obviously we are under attack, and Joe Biden could care less. He's in another country. Our own country is under attack, and he's worried about sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. And this is all by design to keep the news busy and keep you and me busy, right? Because he's under so much attack from the media and now his own party. This is the destruction of the USA. Anybody who doesn't see what's going on here, I mean, our country's in big, big trouble, guys. So hopefully everybody can see it, you know? It's an all idiot show. It is, Gerald, it is. It's so disgusting. So yeah, if you're not on Twitter, guys, you have to get on Twitter for the safety of your own family. Because the news is going to break there. And when your town or city's under attack, if you're not on Twitter paying attention to these news feeds, you're going to see it here first. Everybody's smart enough now when they get news, it breaks on Twitter because they know it's not going to get deplatformed. So the first place that anybody, does anything, yeah, we need permanent storage. If what's his name wasn't too busy stealing your luggage at the mall, Lila, what's his name? Gosh, what was that dude's name that was stealing all the luggage?
Waking up and noticing what the war room and you have noticed for a while, that we're on the edge of World War III. A lot of pundits are asking the question, why is our administration insanely running into a World War III situation? And I suspect, because I'm a cynical guy, that World War III solves a lot of issues, solves the sovereign debt crisis and solves the vaccine murder that's gone on, wipes a bunch of stuff off the map, and directs everyone's attention to a world war. Now, I hope that doesn't turn out to be the case, but that's definitely in play, I think. And the capital markets may be starting to sniff this out. The U.S. dollar in a World War III situation would go up quite a bit. And the dollar, the DXY, the basket of, the index that is the basket of currencies, bottomed about 2 weeks ago and is starting to go up. We think it put in a very significant bottom. And also the stock market is on razor's edge right now. I don't like to make predictions, but if I had to guess, the stock market's going to fall apart in the next week or two.
I agree. Hope you guys got them shorts in. I know I do. What's the market looking like right now? Ah, yes, it did. It did. I got my short in at 25,100. I hope. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Let's go. All right. I'm short on Bitcoin at 25,100. And you guys know me, I'll scale up into it. So if we go to 28, I'll probably have another one waiting at 28, another one at 31. And eventually it'll crash and we'll make a bunch of money. We'll do some giveaways for you guys. All right, let's go. That just made my day. All right. All right, short on Bitcoin. How's the S&P looking? Oh, S&P's free falling right now. Hopefully you guys got them shorts in. Wow. Oh, that's a 3-day. Oh, my bad. My bad. Oh, yeah, it is. It just started to tank. Uh-oh. Bitcoin's going to be not far behind. Oh, Bitcoin's already coming down hard, too. Let's go, boys. The bottom's about to fall out the market. This is that one big crash we've been waiting for. And it's going hard. Is that Norfolk? I mean, you got to think about that. Anybody who wasn't shorting this market, in my opinion, is out of their gosh damn mind. You got Pfizer that's worth what? I don't know, like 50 or 60 billion. You got Apple that just pretty much sold everybody out. I mean, if you're buying Apple products, you're out of your mind at this point after what they did to the Chinese and blocking airdrops. Then you got Norfolk Railroad worth 55 billion. They're going bankrupt. There's no way they're making this out alive without complete failure. So you have some of the biggest corporations in the world that are getting ready to go bankrupt and quite possibly be, you know, Nuremberg trials 2.0. Man, oh man. Cyber attack by March, yeah. And then you have Biden giving away our money, our oil reserves, everything, guys. Like, there's nothing that tells me that they're not trying to completely collapse this market. And that's what these globalists do every single time. Why? Because once they crash the market, you lose your home, you lose your investments, you lose your life savings. And what do? Everything just costs more money. They make more profit. And while they're making profit all the way down, they're buying up your property. They're buying up your farmland. They're buying up your used cars on the cheap. And then they turn around. They wait a year or two. They wait for the market to recover. It goes up. They sell it all to you at a higher price. It happens every single time. Every single global collapse or market collapse was all planned, in my opinion, and orchestrated by the wealthiest people in the world. I mean, George Soros once did $1 billion short and made $1 billion in 24 hours or something like that. In one trade, he made $1 billion. Yep. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. But let's get back to Twitter. News is more exciting.
And it burned smoke, a plume that was visible from up in Broward County as we launched Skyforce this morning, and it burned out of control there until fire crews from Miami-Dade County Fire got here on the scene. They closed off the roadways in the area, including the service road, which is on the south side of Okeechobee Road. The area of about 116th Way is the main indicator there for the intersection, just a little bit to the west of where this fire broke out. The crews were able to bring smoke, a plume that was visible from up in Broward.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these, like, who profits the most from these disaster relief programs? Like, you're going to see more Biden supporters, just like they did with the pandemic, where, you know, the Biden administration was going to give like a $31 billion grant to Sam Bankman-Fried's brother, who was going to basically run the next pandemic preparedness BS whatever. It's what these people do. We're getting straight screwed. Oh, here's Biden falling down the steps. You guys see that? Look at that one. That's Biden falling face first down the steps at Air Force One. He fell down like 12 steps. So Biden was up here. I mean, that's like 50% of the way down. So I don't know how many steps that is, but he was up there. That's at least like 10 or 12, maybe 15 steps. Fucking goon, man. Can't even walk down steps.
Fire at the Alloy plant. A live look for you right here. We've learned several units have been called to the scene as the fire started this morning, including the Glasgow Volunteer Fire Department. We're working to get some more details right now, and we'll update you here on air and online at from Fayette County right now. A fire at the Alloy plant. A live look for you right here. We've learned several units have been called to the scene as the fire started this morning, including the Glasgow Volunteer Fire Department. We're working to get some more details right now, and we'll update you here on air and online at from Fayette County right now.
Man, it's crazy how fast news breaks on Twitter. Mysterious 1.5 meter object reassembling. Iron ball found on Japan shore. Prompts authorities. Wait, the German Minister of Health is planning an exercise scenario about a leopard bite causing a smallpox outbreak, and he thinks it's very realistic. This is beyond insane. Someone needs to call for help. They do.
Or would we look the other way
Would we be strong or would we be weak? Would we, all of our allies, would we united or divided? Would we respond or would we look the other way? Would we be strong?
Wait, is that real? Is that our military? Oh my lord. Oh my fucking... We're in trouble, boys. You're looking at the fiercest military in the whole world. Oh boy, I know what you're gonna say.
Prevent an explosion from a train derailment. That 150-car train went
Breaking: Trump just called out the State Department for inching us towards World War III. The State Department that Ron DeSantis, Adam Kissinger, and others wrote to requesting U.S. support for the Mundane resolution that precedes the current war in Ukraine. Mr. Secretary, we are writing you to express deep concern over the current situation in Ukraine. As you know, over a million people have turned out to protest Ukraine's president, Viktor so-and-so's sudden reversal of policy in halting the nation's effort to sign an economic accord with the European Union. When was this? Oh, that was back in 2013. Wow, that has 52,000 votes. So Rudy Giuliani says, where should, ooh, I'm not following Rudy? What the heck? Man, I swear Twitter unfollows me from people. I know I was following Rudy. So that one says, where should the president be right now? 52,000 people. Just said East Palestine. So this is Michael Burry, right? Michael Burry, Consumers' Choice, chooses violence rather than cut back on spending in the face of inflation. Consumers choose violence rather than cutting back on spending in the face of inflation. Credit card debt is now at $986 billion. The average American's credit card balance is $6,000. Mine's zero. Don't know about y'all. The CC APR is 25%. The median bank account balance is $5,500. That's it. Looks like numbers back up. Wow. We are going to get ran through. We are. So this is Rep. Andy Biggs saying we must halt funding to Ukraine.
And ratchet this down. Instead, they're going to ratchet it up, Stuart. And what's going to happen is you're going to see more and more people die through violent means. You're going to see more and more people through privation instead of trying to ratchet this thing down.
Yes.
So this was yesterday. So this is Addison Smith says, yikes. The Biden administration is reportedly preparing to sign a legally binding deal with the World Health Organization, giving it authority to dictate policy for Americans during a pandemic. That is some scary effing crap, guys. If you guys missed that, we covered that earlier. Just walk straight, man. Where am I? Just turn around. What's going on? The dude can't even stay on the red carpet. Look at that. Do you guys remember when they were trying to brainwash us with this one? That's in Brooklyn, New York. So in Poland, Biden aims to push back on Putin, blaming the West for Ukraine war. Biden will deliver remarks in Poland. Biden just said we're going to build nuclear power plants in Poland. What an ass clown. Yep, saw that one, Corn Pop. Got that one already. I think that's about it, guys. Wrap it up there. Yeah, that's about it, guys. All right, y'all, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Sorry the audio sucks so much when I'm talking. I got to fix this shit. So I appreciate y'all. Hopefully you guys have a great day. Trade safe out there. Be safe out there. Pay attention. Make sure you guys get on Twitter. Your life might be saved from it. Love y'all. Have a great night, guys. Oh, yeah, we're going to be on Rumble tonight at about 8 p.m. I got Michael coming on again. He was the guy from the Erickson report. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that stuff will really blow your mind. So if you want to go down the rabbit holes and conspiracy theories, we're going to be good on Rumble tonight. So appreciate y'all. Have a good night.